So, good afternoon. I tried this cinema seat in the morning. This is really comfortable. So I hope you are not fall asleep after the delicious lunch, but I'll try to keep you awake. So last chance. Everybody in the right room? I'm going to talk about UX for front-end development. So let's go. Who am I? Hi, my name is Vicky, and I've lived in these 5 countries, and I speak all this language, so if you want to talk with me, just feel free and come. It's a long story, so I'm not going to tell you the details. And I've been worked with SAP HCM, SAP Hybris. This is the e-commerce platform from SAP. And before I quit my job at a big corporate environment, I worked a lot with Adobe Experience Manager. And then I got twins. And then I decided UX is my passion. I want to go for my passion. So I quit my job. And about 1.5 years ago, I started my own freelancing consulting agency. And also supporting women in tech is a very important thing for me. So that's why I'm also Google Women Tech Maker Ambassador, leading a very small community in Salzburg, where I'm living now with my family. Yes. By the way, I see that some of you guys would like to take picture. I hope you can see this small camera icon here. When you see, because I have a lot of animations in my slide, when you see this icon, that means the animation is finished. So I have briefly introduced myself. It would be nice if you can introduce yourself too. So I would like to ask you to scan the QR code. Don't worry, there is no virus behind that. Okay, we just go on Slido, and I would like to ask you to answer 3 very simple questions. The first one is, what is your primary role in your current job? So I want to know if you're a UX designer, if you're a developer, if you're front-end, back-end, full-stack developer, app developer. Because I wouldn't be a good UX consultant if I don't tailor my presentation to my audience. Scrum Master, I'm impressed. Data scientist. Okay, who wrote the 1042-831? You have to explain this to me. This is not familiar to me. We also have UX designer, well. So, we have a tough schedule today, so let's just jump to the second question. I would like to know, how often do you consider user experience in your daily work? It's my main focus. Sometimes, rarely. You what? To be honest, the last option, I added as a joke. And this is already the 3rd time I'm doing this on the developer conference. And I'm really impressed that people who does not consider UX in their daily work still come to my talk. So I hope I can give you some good advice for your job. Last but not least, which of these UX concepts I'm going to talk about today are you familiar with? Information architecture, clarity, consistency, Zeigarnik effect, pick and rule. Okay. Consistency wins. Fine, thank you very much. Now let's continue our journey. So, before I talk about the topics today, I want to make sure that everybody knows we are on the same place. So usability or user experience, what is exactly the difference? Since I'm German, we love rules and standards. So there is indeed a standard definition of usability. It's ISO norm 9241-210, and the latest version is from 2019. It's called Human-Centered Design for Interactive Systems. The definition for usability: extent to which a system, product, or service can be used by specified users to achieve specified goals with effectiveness, efficiency, and satisfaction in a specified context of use. As you can see, we need to specify the users, the goals, and the context of use. So I had a lot of difficulty to explain to my friends and my family what I'm doing. And finally, I find out something that everyone can relate to. It's toilet paper. Okay. So let's have a look at the usability definition on toilet paper. Think that you have finished whatever you were doing on the toilet. The task we have now as a user is to clean ourselves. So the first thing is we want to make the task effective. That means when we tie off the toilet paper, right, it should be that hard so we cannot tie it off, but it should also not break. And when we use it to clean ourselves, it should be nice to use it, right? And it should be somewhere near us. That's why nobody puts toilet paper in the kitchen. Right? And last but not least, satisfaction, what does that mean? If this is in your favorite color, you have some nice icons on that, maybe a nice scent, then you are happy with it. And when all these three elements is positive or negative, then you have a good or bad usability of one product. And of course, this is a DevCon. I'm not going to talk about toilet paper the next 40 minutes. So what does that mean? We think about a website. As a user, I can find the information that I'm looking for. I can find it. I can find it quickly, I can finish the task. For example, sign up for a newsletter. And I'm happy with the visual experience. And of course, there's another definition for user experience. User experience, users' perceptions and responses that result from the use and or anticipated use of a system, product, or service. What does that mean? So think about the website we talked about before, or the toilet paper, right? So you have created your own usability experience with this website, with this product, but you also have friends and family, you talk with them, right? They tell you how is their experience with this product or service. And in your whole life, you have used different toilet papers and websites, so you gain different experience. And all of this experience you have in your life form your mental model, right? So this is how our mental model works. And everything together is the user experience of one product. So now we have defined the definitions, and this is a 5 topic. I'm going to show you what is important for the front-end development. Now let's start with the information architecture. Design your information architecture like a library. Libraries has been here on the earth for a very long time, and it still works very well, even though that people are not really reading a book. So it's like designing perfectly organized library. Determine how digital content should be labeled, organized, prioritized, and related so user can effortlessly find exactly what they're looking for. Why does it matter? Because we want to reduce the mental load of our users. Now I have to tell you a little bit story what happened 300,000 years ago. So 300,000 years ago, when our brain has formed, our biggest concern is not the stupid app does not work. Okay? The only task we have is to stay alive, chased by tigers, mammoth, whatever. Okay? So at that time, our body, and also that time we don't have that much things to eat. If we had a dinner today, we don't know if we're going to find something to eat tomorrow. So our body tried to work very efficiently. That means everything that needs resource, energy, will be reduced. So we have 2 brain parts. The right part called system 1, and the left part is combined to system 2. So the system 1 means with the right brain part, we try to make fast and intuitive decisions. Okay? And everything that is not familiar to us, we need to think about that. And that is when we start to analyze something. So evolution has made our brain to be very efficient. That means familiar patterns to user requires less thinking. When I see a button, I know I can press on it. If I can recognize that this is a button and not a link and not a text. And if the information is poorly organized, then the user will not find the information. They get frustrated, right? They make errors. They will abandon the task. And the whole user experience is bad. We're going back to the system 1, system 2 a lot today. So how can we do that, right? Start with user research. Know that you are not your users, okay? And we, who works in the technology, we are like 1%, 10% of the users that are using the stuff. The normal people don't use how we use the technology. A clear descriptive labels that match users' vocabulary. I presented this presentation today to tech community. If I'm doing exactly the same presentation to business, I will use very different examples and also vocabularies. And group related items logically. Okay. And you ask how you can test it. There is 2 very famous different testing methods for information architecture. The first one is card sorting. That means you write all the information on small cards, and you don't give your test users a structure. You give them the cards, if you think about like e-commerce shop, right? You give them the first, the second, the third categories, and the item they're trying to find. And they ask them, how would you sort them? This is how you test. Or you use tree testing, which means you have defined your structure. The first category is the second one, the third one, and then you ask them if they can find the item they are looking for. I thought it would make sense if I show you some practice examples. So I took the website from WebDevCon, and we can see this is the first page. And on the right top, we have Get Your Tickets. This is a very familiar pattern we have, because there is, most time is also the shopping cart for checkout. And we have the menu in the middle, and if we just hover over it, we have the sub-menus. So this is actually a good information architecture. We may have some accessibility issues here, because we cannot read the text when we hover over it. But for the aspect of information architecture, this is good. Now, I have another example. I'm sorry that I only have this in German. You have to know this is, I have this app for checkout. And this is the date when I have to check out. But I still have the information here. It's written, Wiki, your room is ready. You can check in anytime. Why do I have to see this information on the date of checkout? Right? So this is really confusing. And I have already pressed the checkout button. And I guess nobody sees there the very tiny, small, pink loading progress bar on the top, okay? So good information architecture reduces mental load by making information intuitive to find, create a smooth, frustration-free user experience. Next topic, clarity. So first at all, we need good information architecture. When to present information, which information to whom. And then we need to make it clear. Clarity, your user's best friend. It ensures that interfaces are easy to understand and interact with by using clear language, familiar elements, and intuitive interactions. We want preventing user frustrations. Anyone who can tell me what this icon means? Sorry? Favorite. Any other idea? Rating. New. Premium. It's not clear, right? So when users have to think, what does that mean? Then we are activating our left brain part, we start analyzing. We're using resources to interpreting what this means. So that leads to frustration. Why can't I find this, right? What's happened when I click on the button and it lead me to somewhere where I did not expect it. And last but not least, the worst thing can happen is task abandonment, right? You are in the middle of the checkout process in e-commerce, and then you just close the window, don't finish. The company gets no money. So clear interface guide users naturally, preventing mistakes and creating confidence, right? We want the user to feel good when they use our softwares. So how do we do that? As I said before, use standard patterns and conventions. And also understand who are your users. How's that mental models? You also need to consider culture difference. And it's very important in realistic context. Think if you have an app that you use in your office. This is most the place where maybe the sun shines, but you still have a good context there. Right? And then you go out. It's a nice day like today. And the contrast between the text and the background is so bad that people cannot read it. Right? And then you go out maybe to the sea. There is no Wi-Fi connections. So think about all these contexts where the user is going to use your product. And if it is so difficult to use it because you have some patterns, some interaction that is not familiar, then give them the chance to learn it. Use onboarding process. And also, if you have changed the front end, the UI, with some major changes, give the user a chance to learn it. And if you want to measure it, you can test it with completion rate, error rates, and also time on task. So this is an example of the website when you try to buy a ticket. We see here, they start with a Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. So this is actually good organized. It is clear that this is only one-day ticket. This is a conference day ticket. Good organized. The problem here is downstairs, we have a field where enter use promo code. And this is too clear to the student ticket. And we have some Gestalt principle issues here. Things that are close to each other, we would like to see it as a group, which means user can think that use promo code is only relevant for student ticket, which I suppose is not the case. We have another part here. So the left side you can see is the ticket page, and here is the schedule page of this conference. And I choose workshop day yesterday. And you see this red tag, fully booked. So that's why this is logical. We have a waiting list for the Thursday workshop, right? Because it's fully booked. And now we go to the first workshop day, so it's a Tuesday. We see we can sign us on the waiting list, but here is no tag. So why not? We suggest it's not fully booked because we don't see the tag, but we still cannot buy the ticket. So your user's best friend is clarity, because the guide users naturally, just like a good friend, get you through an unfamiliar place. They don't make you guess, they make you feel confident in what you're doing. Consistency. This is, I guess I don't have to explain because most people is familiar with it. I love consistency because it's something so simple, but it's really, really powerful. It maintains uniform design patterns, behaviors, and experience across all touch points and interactions. And we build trust with that. Isn't it a nice place? How do the luxury hotels worldwide build trust? They use exactly the same scent. So it doesn't matter if you go to the same hotel here in Europe, in Asia, or in America, it smells exactly the same when you go there. Why is it? Because the sense of smell is highly connected to our emotions, memory, and mood. Everything that connects to our emotions has a high effect on the memory. So predictable patterns lead to fewer errors. And we can complete the task very fast because it's easy. Right? We know how this works. And again, back to the system once. When we know it, we don't have to think. We make the decision. It's easy. And this is how we build trust, because we want users. It doesn't matter if see us online, offline, hear advertisement in the radio, watch it in the TV. They see exactly the same color, font, or interactions. This is how we build trust. So use design systems. Tiana has already said in her talk, right? Design system is so important with reusable components. And it's important that you test regularly with new users, because the users who has used the system for 10 years, they are blind. They don't see that you have changed something. Right? And it's not only about the font, the colors, it's also the interactions, the patterns, the language. Since I don't speak Dutch, I don't know if you have the difference between you as one person and you as a formal. So we have in German like du and sie. Right? This is a big difference. So you don't use on one side du and on the other side is sie. So it's a mix-up. And of course, rules are there to be broken. You can break the consistency rules, if that makes sense. So we see here some elements on the website. This is a normal state. And this is a who state. That means the button and also this video and the picture of the speaker. If I hover over it, you see it's consistent. The color is getting a little bit darker, but we still can see what's happening behind that. So this is a good consistency example. We saw this before, and this is not consistent. Why? Because on Thursday, I see the red tag when it's fully booked, but not on Tuesday. So it's confusing. To make consistency your superpower, from typography to interactions. Consistency builds deep trust in your system while making interface intuitive to use. Now we're getting to the fun part. We come to the two cognitive biases, Zeigarnik effect. I noticed that somebody is already familiar with it, so who is it? Make completion your secret weapon. Zeigarnik is a Russian female scientist, and she has observed the beginning of 1904, I think, in a small coffee in Vienna, that the waiter remembers everything had been ordered of a table until the table has paid. Then it took 20 seconds and he has forgot everything. So why is that? Because Zeigarnik effect describes our brain's tendency to remember uncompleted tasks better than completed one. So it explains why providing clear paths to completion reduces mental stress and improves user satisfaction. Think that if you have a lot of things on your mind and you still have to work, right? Because somehow we need to earn money. Then your capability in your brain is reduced. Because let's say, for example, 30% is working because you have a lot of unfinished tasks in your mind. Oh, what did I dream last night? Oh, what do I have to buy today? Oh, I have to make things. Oh, this person I have to call. You think about this all the time in your brain. So your brain is not 100% free to finish the current tasks you have in your work, for example. So what's happening here is that we're reducing the cognitive capacity of the users, so we are increasing the stress level, and that is where error happens. So if we have too many incompleted processes, then lead to user frustration and abandonment of the task. So we do not want that. We want users to focus on one path and finish the task and happy. So if you have a very complex process, we're talking about often the legacy systems, very complicated onboarding process, for example. Try to break it into small steps. and show them, of course, the progress indicators, but not that small. You remember this small pink one we saw before. And also, right, show completion status for user profiles. I see very often, I think it was some online learning platform where I said I don't have, for example, an X account. And I see all the time, every time I log in, 90% completed. Okay. I cannot complete 100% because I just don't have it. And the step-by-step onboarding flow, try to reduce the cognitive load because I can see there is 5 steps. I've already completed 2. And it's really life-saving. It can be life-saving. Because think about an instruction in very serious situations. Right? People who is responsible for safety, they also have some safety instructions when different things happen. If you write 20 different instructions on it and everything is in red, right, there is no difference. Do we have some gamers here? Okay, a few. So I guess you know what is it. I used to be a big World of Warcraft fan, and then I got children. So this is a life. This was another life. Why am I showing you this? Because things can be very fast to turn to dark patterns. I'm not saying that the gaming industry using this as a dark pattern, because the gaming design is a little bit different for the web design and the other interface design. And Tegania effect, if you Google it, is really famous for keep user coming back. Right? So the gaming hook is when you ask user to collect setting items, like this beautiful set, right? You need to do a lot of tasks to get everything completed in this set. And we want users to improve their high scores and achievement hunting, of course. When you have finished the game in the first round, you see 10, there are 10 badges, and you got 6, and there are 4 left, and you didn't do anything special to get the 6, then you want to go back to have the other 4. Right? This is how to keep the user coming back. So games industry is actually the master of Tegania effect. But for the normal user interface design, we don't want that. We want to help them. By designing clear paths to completion, we reduce user stress and create more engaging experiences. But be careful, with great power comes great responsibility. We have some Spider-Man fans here, nice. So last but not least, pick and rule. And on a high note, the pick and rule explains that people judge experience by their peak moment, so the most intense point, and how they end, not by the average of all moments. I know we're all technicians, and we think very logically. And this is unfortunately something that is absolutely not logical, and something that math cannot explain. So let's see what does that mean. If you think about your journey here at this conference, okay, it looks like this. So unfortunately, most of the time, below this line, it's negative. Like you choose the wrong talk, you got the wrong sandwich, you had a bad coffee, whatever. But there is one moment that is really, really positive, like you, don't know, at the end of the day, you won the drone. And then you get maybe 10% discount code for the next year. So at the end, the journey was positive. And the most intense point is positive. Even so, it's maybe just 10, 15% of the whole journey. But what stays in your mind is you had a damn good time at the WebDevCon. Why does it matter? Because our memory cheats us. Memory over reality. The memory shape our experience for the future. So if you think back of your experience of this conference, this is the emotion that you're calling to your brain that decide if you're coming back next year or not. Even so, as I showed you, right? The most of the time you are actually unhappy. And at the end, if the feeling is so bad, so the worst thing can happen is the most intense point, the negative point, is also the last one. Then you have the two peak at the same time. This is where you shape or you break the experience. And of course, users only turn back to the system when they love it, when they liked it, when they have positive experience with that. So if you know that in your system, you have a very negative experience because you can just not avoid it due to some very different technical whatever reasons, then try to make this big negative experience into small ones. Because less intense interaction stays less intensive in the mind. And if possible, try to create some emotional peaks, a positive one. And if everything else fails, try to make at least at the end of the process, checkout process, newsletter sign up. The last one is positive. You get a positive confirmation. Thank you for signing up for our newsletter. Especially in checkout and form submission, this is so important, right? To give the user right confirmations and telling them exactly what's happening next. So end on a high note. Make sure that your user will leave the journey with a smile. And you made it. Thank you. Are there any questions? You can scan this QR code to get this presentation.
No? Thanks, Vicky. I really enjoyed actually that you used the Web DevCon site for...
I hope you are not mad at me.
I did a little bit for the website, but I really think you got some great points there. There's some time for some questions, so are there some questions? Please raise your hand.
There is no stupid questions.
Thank you for your presentation. The question is, have you ever seen a website that would have perfect UX without any errors that you can spot?
Yes, google.com.
Thank you.
I mean, there is just one field you really can make things, there is even no chance to make an error, right?
Just the search bar.
Yes. I mean, this is also one way to create your interface. If you give them only one field to do one task. But of course, we talk about the website, talk about the Web DevCon. We cannot just put one search bar in there, search for the talks, right? This is not going to work. Any other questions?
Actually, have an interesting question. So, as part of our startup, we don't have that much money to hire someone that's specifically focused on UX, right? So there's some responsibility on the devs as well to think about how to improve our current UX whenever users run into problems. Are there any tips you can maybe give of just small things we can focus on to help improve whatever we're building significantly?
You should have come to my workshop yesterday. So this is the first tip. And on a high note, I mean, every task has a last step, right? At least try to make the last step convenient or easy to complete. And even so you don't, I hear this is a lot of situation, oh, we don't have money for this, we don't have money for that, right? Somewhere you need to start. And maybe just start with a very small thing. And if you know that in the, app, systems, whatever, you know exactly this is an issue. I know that user cannot complete this task. Then just go and test with your family, with your friends, and record it on the mobile phone. Because I promise you, when you show your boss, look, they are struggling with that. They cannot finish it. That has a high impact. That is an eye-opening moment. Then they are open to talk to you.
Any websites that you, oh no, sorry, in general, if you, I mean, you're very strong in this, and also your opinion, you know what's going wrong, let's say. Is there one frustration you have, like, regularly, that is maybe easy to fix on most websites or application you're using?
I mean, we have the EAA is coming, right? The European Accessibility Act. So accessibility is also a very strong topic here. But also we have a Word Content Accessibility Guide. So we see AEG. And we also have a Nielsen heuristic, like Tiana has also talked about that in the morning, right? This is a rule of thumb, as Nielsen says himself. So it's not tell you exactly put the button here, it's going to work. It's tell you the principles. And once you have understand the principles, how to use it, why is this important? Think about system 1 and system 2, right? We try to prevent errors. Then if you just